question was that we're working so hard on this space, and what happens if the police were to come in and ask us or tell us to leave or forcefully move us.
And I gotta say this before you explain that, Ryan. And the folks here have worked their asses off. They have done an incredible job. God's here?
Yeah, his name is God.
Oh. And here's the group Cat. And there's God back there. God and Cat. Good, we need God. I mean, if there is one, and apparently there is.
At least one.
In the incarnation over there.
At least
let me video God. Now he's snuck behind somebody.
It's okay. We don't need to identify him.
He's the guy.
That's not even. No, that's not even identifying.
Oh, all right,
Okay, so
all right.
anyway,
God will remain
anonymous.
Yeah, I mean Yahweh. No name.
God's
he
anonymous.
who shall not be named.
They're working on a sustainable kitchen.
I am so impressed with everybody here, and the persons who are there, and the hard work they've been doing. It's truly amazing. So please go ahead and say what you were going to say.
So a lot of people have asked the same question.
Which is?
What are you guys going to do if they move you out? Aren't you going to be so upset if things that you've worked on so hard get destroyed? And the basic answer is that for as long as we're here, and even if it were to end in this very moment, for as long as we are here, we're creating this model of what could be here, or could be anywhere, in San Francisco, in other cities throughout the world, which is a resource center for people to start learning how to grow their own food and live in balance with the earth again, which includes everything from the books that we have on sustainability and urban homesteading and permaculture, to the greenhouse that we have for people to start seeds in, and then those plants are given out for free to anybody who wants them to garden throughout the city, to the beds that we have full of food and medicine, which both teach people about the different plants and the connections between plants and the companion planting and the interrelationships.
You get that, folks? Medicine.
The tool share allows people from the neighborhood to come and borrow a tool, go use it at their garden or anywhere else throughout the city to garden, and then bring it back so everyone has access to it. It's starting this culture where we're not all holding our own tools in our garage and we each have to have our own lawnmower. Instead, we're all sharing shovels in common, and we're all sharing wheelbarrows in common, or beautifying our common space together. The seed library, where there's hundreds of varieties of free seeds right now. People can come take seeds and go plant them, and the beautiful thing about seeds is you plant one seed and you get many more when you harvest. So I planted with my former partner a couple years ago about 5 bean seeds in a 20-foot by 20-foot garden we had in a friend's backyard, and we harvested 300 seeds from that year. So 5 turned into 300. So if someone comes and they take 5 bean seeds from our seed library, it's very possible that they'll be coming back in 3 or 4 months with 300 seeds to give back to the seed library, which then, let's see, 300 divided by 5 is like 60. 60 more people can come and take 5 seeds, and that just exponentially grows, so we're all sharing in common. So this kind of thing, we're creating a model for that, and people that are engaging in this space are already learning all these new things, just as you are. So it's something that can be replicated. Even if these things are destroyed tomorrow, they can be replicated again, they can be replicated elsewhere. And to speak a little bit more about the reasons why we choose to do this is that we find that we're living in a very privatized world, where land is being privatized, water is being privatized to the degree where the World Bank is going into third world countries and building water pipelines and then metering them and giving people debit cards so that if you don't have a debit card, you can't access the water that they're building. Things are getting very privatized, and land is one of the most important things for people to sustain themselves. It's how we grow our own food, how we grow our own medicine, how we grow our own building materials to keep ourselves safe and dry. It's the source of everything that we use. Things don't come from the store, they come from the ground first. And if we can start putting land back into common care, then we can start caring for each other outside of the current power structures, the corporate structures and the state structures that exist. And so liberating land is the first step to liberating ourselves and liberating each other. And so instead of doing this on a rented backyard or an owned piece of land or somewhere private, we're doing this somewhere where we think there's an illegitimate claim of authority over a piece of land. In this case, it's Park and Rec, which is a city department that's claiming this land as theirs. They're saying that although it's a public park, this land is controlled by Park and Rec. There will be a lock on the gate at all times, so people can't come in when they want to, And garden beds will be assigned to certain people that are friends of Park and Rec and friends of the city, so it won't be a common gardening area, and they'll have control over it. And we don't want the city to have a top-down control over the land. We want the people to have a common sharing of the land.
That was the idea to begin with, wasn't it?
Yeah, we're taking a direct action to create a permaculture space. And the combination of those two things, the combination of taking direct action to liberate a space, to not wait for private property or the state to say that it's okay to do something, give you permission, but instead to know that we as people have a root in this land, that it is for us to steward and to take care of. And combining that with the ethics and the principles of permaculture, which teach us how to interrelate with each other, interrelate with the plants, how to grow things so that they're vital and they're accessing the full scope of nutrients and elements that the earth has to provide. Everything from wind to sun to the amount of water to the various other plants to the kinds of minerals that are in the ground. I feel like we can truly create a more healthy and sustainable way of living for everyone and everything if we start to do this. So not only is it about learning about permaculture and learning about plants and learning about how to grow food, but it's also about accessing land and liberating spaces and knowing that we have this common root in the land. And I think that's one of the first steps to kind of getting outside of this mindset of private property, where if you don't own or rent something, then you are subject to the streets and to the corner stores, and that's all you have. And it's not really all we have. For thousands and thousands and thousands of years before this privatization paradigm came about, people shared land in common. And that's why English common law regards an eviction as a very touchy subject and something that you have to move slow on, because what happened in England a long time ago is there were commons. There were places where people grew food and did all kinds of random things to survive and stay alive, and that started to be privatized so that they could have big fields of sheep and they could send the wool off to other countries and turn that into clothing, and they would have huge fields of potatoes. And so they started to privatize land and kick landless peasants out. And now we're seeing this resurgence of people saying that we have the freedom to plant and grow and be on our land. And so in Brazil we see things like the MST, which is the landless peasants movement of millions of Brazilian peasants standing up and taking back their land. In Chiapas, Mexico, we have the Zapatistas pushing the Mexican state out of their land in Chiapas only when they stopped allowing peasants to even have the worst pieces of land so that they could give those land to first world corporations like United States corporations to grow in them. And once they had no other options and no other land left, the people rose up and they pushed the Mexican state out, and they said, this is our land and we're going to grow food and we're going to build schools and we're going to have community here. And this is happening all over the world, from the diggers movement in England in the 1600s, I believe it was, that probably inspired the diggers here in San Francisco in the 1960s, to people in Brazil, people in Argentina, people all over starting to take back their land.
This is a global thing, and pretty soon these roots are going to all connect, folks, and that's when corporations are gone.
Yeah.
This is undermining. This is really undermining that whole structure.
A lot of people are out there and they talk about destroying the system. And destroying the system at this point in time would be destroying ourselves, because we haven't built the alternative structures yet that we need to survive outside of those systems. But the more that we build up these alternative liberatory structures outside of those structures of domination, the more we don't even have to do anything to destroy them. They'll fall away on their own. If we're all growing food and eating food and sharing food from our gardens, less people are going to the corporate supermarket until the corporate supermarket is not making enough money to sustain itself anymore, and it just disappears. We don't have to break anything, we don't have to destroy anything, we don't have to fight back. We simply have to build these much more beautiful alternatives and defend them. And then we can live outside of the current structures of domination, and we can start to live in a liberatory way in the commons with each other.
Thanks, Ryan.
Thank you.